welcome back to the spoilerCast, the show where we talk about movies and we don't care about spoiling them because it is the spoilerCast. And today we're looking backwards in time to talk about the movies from 2021 that we didn't get around to watching in 2021. Well, I did.
I did it.
Yeah, my co-host, sister and trusty co-host Rebecca.
Hello.
Didn't watch it. So for in the beginning of 2022, we are looking back at the movies she should have watched in 2021. Basically, I am of course Tobias, as always.
Yeah. We're sprinkling in these movies in between the premieres that we will have time and opportunity to see.
Yes, exactly. So this week we are talking about one of my favorite movies of last year, Pig. Starring Nicolas Cage and Alex Wolff and a pig.
Yeah.
But we should also mention, of course, that where was I going with this? I'm not sure. You know what? Let's just get into it. Let's talk about everything else later. So, if you follow me on Letterboxd, which there will be a link to down below, we'll put that in the link tree and everything. You already know what I think about Pig. It was my second favorite movie of the year, I think. Or third best.
I think something like that, yeah.
We
had an episode where we went through all this on our Patreon, so...
Yes, and you can check that out for just $3 a month on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. But more on that later.
Yes.
But you hadn't checked it out.
No, I never got around to doing that.
Right. So we thought why not watch one of the best movies of last year, at least in my opinion, and see what Rebecca thinks of it. And here we are. So
here we are.
What did you think of Pig?
I was surprised in a positive way.
Okay.
Because the title is very unassuming. It's Pig. Okay, so it's about a pig, probably. I'm not a super fan of Nicolas Cage. Not that I've seen a lot, but the few things you see of him just kind of makes him seem crazy. So I've always kind of like, I'm not going to waste my time going through his movies particularly. I mean, I did grow up liking National Treasure because, hello. Adventurous nerd who is awesome.
Yeah.
Why not? But most of his other movies are like, well... The ones that are kind of put on my radar always seem to be kind of weird, looking cheap, or just like, why would an established actor agree to do this kind of movie?
Yeah, well, that's kind of how he's that's kind of what his career has become the last last 15 years almost.
Like, two things that come to mind, except for National Treasure, is I think it's called Ghost Rider, when he's this skeleton dude who rides a motorcycle. And Wicker Man, not the bees.
Yeah. The bees! Oh, they're in my eyes, not the bees! Yeah. And I mean, that's what he's known for. That's the meme guy, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
That's the Rage Cage that everybody talks about. And I mean, it's a culmination of poor life choices, really. I mean, because he has been very forthright and said that he does nowadays. He makes all those crappy movies like Bangkok Dangerous and USS Indianapolis or whatever that movie was called. All of those like shitty, low budget, like mid budget action movies or whatever he does.
Yeah.
They're all just paychecks. Because he he's one of those. He's infamous for not paying any taxes. And buying so many things when he blew up in the mid-90s. So he has, I don't know any numbers, but reportedly he has like huge amounts of back tax that even a multimillionaire like him can't just pay, because then he'd be destitute, basically.
So he needs to make money to be able to pay back shit.
Yes. But then here and there, he sprinkles in a project where he actually seems to care. Movies like one of my favorites, Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, and of course Pig. That is the view people have of Nicolas Cage, and that's kind of sad, because before all this, like in the early 2000s, in the 90s, in the 80s, he made some really, really good movies and showed, like, before he became this meme guy, he was like a solid actor. I mean, he won an Oscar in 1995. People barely remember that anymore.
Because, I mean, I do, now that I'm looking at his biography, I remember Face Off, and he's not bad in that.
Yeah.
Even that's
maybe
perhaps slightly later than his grandest years.
No, that's, yeah, sort of. It's kind of funny because I actually recorded a podcast yesterday where we talked about Face Off. Because, as you all know, I have another podcast called Madness in the Method, where we just wrapped up season 1 in January, but season 2 is coming now in about a week, I think, from when this releases. And we just started talking about his Hollywood superstar years. The Rock, Con Air, Face Off. We just recorded Face Off.
Yeah.
But we decided to do a podcast where we only talk about Nicolas Cage movies. And going chronologically from his more or less first big role, which was Valley Girl, and we're gonna the goal was to end on Pig, but since there's so many movies, and he makes at least one movie a year, so for already we're we're not gonna end up on Pig. We're gonna do 10 more movies after Pig at this point.
He has 3 post-production movies in 2022 listed.
Yeah, exactly.
And 2 others who are not mentioned in years, but one of them is in post-production and one of them is in pre-production. So I mean, in the next 2 years he'll have 5 movies at least.
Yeah, exactly. But either way, we'll just keep making the podcast. That's fine. But we talk a lot about, since we're watching them in chronological order, we see him grow as an actor, and you notice things about him as an actor. And how different he is, not just from how he is as a person now, that's actually kind of consistent, but how different the perspective on him as an actor was back in the 90s. Before the Empire, before the Dark Times. And I think this, even though it shouldn't really be necessary, but this is, or should be at least, a wake-up call for people oh yeah, Nicolas Cage, that funny guy with the face, to show that he's actually a serious actor with serious acting chops.
Because this movie, not just his performance,
no,
everything was good. It was more than good. It was great.
Oh yeah.
It's not a movie you sit down and watch just because, and not everyone is gonna enjoy it. It's a bit too deep for some people, probably. Personally, it's slightly too deep for me as well. I mean, I liked it, but I'm not gonna rewatch it anytime soon just because. But I do think that everyone should watch it at least once.
Yeah, and I gotta say, because I just saw this back in early December, November. So this was the first time I rewatched it. I managed to get it on Blu-ray, actually. I'm very happy about that. Keep buying movies on Blu-ray, especially small movies. And I gotta say, it benefited from a second watch.
Okay.
It did, because then you kind of know... Because there's this whole mystery about who his character is. Everyone seems to know him. Some people seem to hate, or most people seem to hate him. But you don't really know why. And I gotta say, the first time I watched it, it was distracting. What is his deal? Having seen it and being able to focus on the other characters, I thought that was an enriching experience. Because it's not just about his character. Should we quickly go through the plot? Because it's very simple, really.
It is.
Nicolas Cage is a truffle, not farmer, I guess truffle hunter? Forager?
Forager, I think. I'm not sure what they call it.
And he lives out in the woods of Portland, Maine?
Oregon,
yeah.
Well, Oregon, Portland, Oregon.
Yes. And he lives out there with his pig that helps him, look for truffles.
It's a truffle pig.
Yeah, it's a truffle pig. And every week...
Very cute truffle pig.
Yes, very cute. From what I hear, though, from behind the scenes, very mean, very angry. Not at all like a well-trained pig. So it kept biting him. every Thursday, this young guy from the city comes and buys his truffles and then sells them to restaurants in the city. But then one night, someone breaks into his house, beats him up, and steals the pig. So he sets out on a quest to find who took his pig and take it back, basically. And
he just wants to find his pig.
Yeah, and the only contact he has is this kid who buys the truffles from him. So
because he doesn't have a cell phone. He doesn't have a car that works. He has no contact with the outside world except for this guy who comes every Thursday.
Yeah, he has
on schedule.
He has completely cut himself off from or more or less cut himself off from society.
Yeah.
I mean, when he gets to the nearest like place where people are is this cafe, and he asks, "Is Marge here?" And they're like, "She died 10 years ago." It's like that's how cut off he is.
Yeah.
But from there, they go to different restaurants. They go to just places where the seedy underbelly of the restaurant world, basically in Portland.
Yeah.
Which is like that concept
is
a little silly.
Connections.
Yeah, he uses his old connections, and we slowly find out who he is, and why he cares so much about the pig. But we also find out more and more about the kid. Amir is his name, played by Alex Wolff, who we all know from Hereditary. Yeah, or
amongst other.
Yeah, a great movie he made with his brother Nat Wolff. He made a movie called The Last Weekend with Stella, or A Weekend with Stella, or something.
Yeah.
I probably talked about it before. I mean, not like a great movie, but I loved it because it was so sweet and nice. And everyone's checked that one out as well.
Again, another movie I haven't seen that I should have.
Yeah, probably. And we go on this journey to try and find out who took the pig. Basically, that's the plot.
Yeah.
So it's very much a character-driven movie.
Yes, because along the way, like you said, we do get to know more about him, his history, and why he has chosen the life he has now, along with finding out more about Amir and just anyone he has really come across in his previous life, basically.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, obviously, a lot of not famous, but they have
influence,
yeah, and a higher status, I suppose, within the restaurant businesses.
Yeah.
They seem to have been in contact with him one way or another throughout the years.
Yeah, and like Amir's dad says towards the end of the movie, like half the restaurants in Portland owe you like big time.
Yeah.
And we don't specifically find out what they mean with that, but I think they kind of tell you in a roundabout way. I think
it's also the truffles, though.
Yeah, sure, partly the truffles. Because obviously Amir's doing well for himself. He has a nice sports car, Camaro.
He lives Camaro.
Yeah, he lives in a nice apartment. He has nice clothes. Like, he does well for himself.
Truffles to these famous and nice restaurants all over Portland.
His only real opponent or
opponent.
Yeah, is his dad, who does the same thing. He sells food to restaurants, and he's the biggest one. And Amir is kind of like the second one, at least from what we find out in the movie.
Specifically truffles, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. I don't know how much we want to talk specifically about the plot or the characters.
I mean, it is a spoilerCast.
Yeah, and I mean...
And you can't really talk about what this movie is about without spoiling who they are, eventually.
Yeah.
And what we find out.
And I mean, it's not like there's a lot of big twists or anything. This is still a movie you can enjoy even if you know how it ends. Because, honestly, how it ends, Nicolas Cage goes back to his camp.
Yeah.
That's how it ends. So, yeah, we won't spoil too much.
We'll try.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But, I mean, I have to say, because straight away, a lot of people have had a lot of different... Well, not a lot. I saw a bunch of YouTube videos about this movie because I was trying to see if others saw what I saw in this movie, if I didn't, just imagine that it was about what I thought it was. And
Yeah, go ahead.
Most seem to agree that it is about loss. It's about grieving and coming to terms with you've lost someone.
Yeah, that's what
But
I did too.
then there are a few people who are adding on like more of a social commentary that we're all living in a world where we don't appreciate people and the loved ones we have around us, which I feel is a bit too pretentious. I'm not sure that's what they're getting at.
No, but I think that's part of it, definitely.
Sure, but
Um,
you can almost literally see him going through all the stages of grief.
yeah,
So it's about loss. That's the
yeah, no,
main thing.
yeah.
And
But I mean,
I heard somewhere that the writer and director Michael Sarnoski, is that how you say
Sarnoski or
it?
something. Yeah,
Sarnoski.
Sarnoski.
He based it on the loss of his father, I think,
Yeah,
partially.
yeah. But I mean, so that is what it's about. I mean, both Nicolas Cage character Robin, as is known, Robin Feld, has not just lost his pig. I mean, the pig is really just a
Yes,
surrogate for his wife who died like 15 years earlier or something.
something like that.
Um, and
But
Amir,
also Amir,
who
whose
lost,
mother isn't.
she's not dead, but she's like in a vegetative state, basically.
Yeah, she's
Um,
lost to him at least.
yeah, and his father is just cold and distant, which
Mm,
he was even before, but it got worse when the mother got sick or whatever.
yeah,
They
and it's
hint
also
at that
him
she tried to kill
accepting.
herself, even because he says, "Nah, she killed herself," but then she's
Yeah, I
alive, so
mean,
it might be that she's just alive after a
um,
suicide attempt.
Amir mentions that she sometimes got very, I don't remember what word he used, but depressed basically.
Yeah,
So
mopey or something like
yeah,
that.
mopey maybe,
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm guessing she had suicidal tendencies and then depression in general,
yeah,
which led to this comatose state
yeah.
in one way or another.
Um, and of course, in the same way, then Amir's father, Darius, lost his wife,
Yeah,
and Amir also kind of lost his father because he was so distant, and especially now that they're basically adversaries in the food industry. And him
great
trying to like,
family.
yeah, him like trying to be almost like become his dad. He's listening to the same music. He's in the same business. So he's trying to reach out to his dad, but in the wrong way, which we find out. Um,
Yes.
because like, and I think that's why it's also about what the thing you said. It's not just about loss. It's about
I wrote it
appreciating
down.
things.
Appreciating the things we have and the people
Yeah, because
around
it's.
us.
I mean, that's literally the tagline for the movie, and the line in the one of the best scenes in the movie. The tagline is, "We don't get a lot of things to really care about."
True, but the way this one that I reacted to, the way they formulated it is just so. I mean, yes, but no. It's over pretentious. I don't remember who it was. Someone on YouTube. They said like it's about finding meaning and accepting that nothing is permanent, but only in facing our fears and focusing on caring for the people around us will we find inner peace. Inner peace.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's yeah, I get it. That's a little overanalyzing, but that's
yeah,
basically what it's
I mean
about.
sure, but no.
Because everything ends. Like he talks about how Portland will eventually be drowned by
Oh yeah,
water,
yeah. When the
and
world is ending, it will be just flood
no, yeah, but now he
everywhere.
means like the next time a big earthquake hits.
Oh yeah, but that's the end of the world probably by then.
No, but he talks about it like it's gonna happen in like 200 years or something.
Yeah, I suppose.
When they're sitting outside Amir's dad's house, by the car, he talks about it,
Right.
and Amir says, we'll just go up to Mount Hood."
Yeah, but that's an active volcano, so
Yeah, exactly. So we can't really go there either.
there's
It's
no saving us.
no, yeah, and that's the kind of like sure, it's realistic to think like that, but if you're there at the end with someone you care about or something you care about, at least it's tolerable. And all these people
At
live they
least
live
you
they live
lived.
hollow existences because they don't have anything to care about anymore.
True.
I mean, and that's if you want to get over analytical, that's shown in the fact that Nicolas Cage, even though he gets, well, first of all, he's dirty, in the beginning of the movie, you see, his clothes are like dirty and ragged. He hasn't showered. His hair is all matted, and his beard is big and unkempt. I mean, he has like giant pit stains on his onesie. He does not care anymore.
No.
But then there were, little glimmers of him caring, little glimmers of hope. He still cares about cooking, obviously, because like he lives out in nowhere, but he still makes a mushroom tartlet for himself.
Yeah.
And he obviously cares about the pig.
Yes.
Because it's very well kept. And then throughout the movie, he gets in worse and worse. He keeps getting beat up. He's bleeding. I mean, his hair even goes pink from all the blood that's in it. But he just looks worse and worse and worse because he doesn't care. But then in the very end, when he decides to go back after, spoilers, finding out the pig died.
Yeah.
In the kidnapping. When he says, I think I'm going to walk home. When he gets back to his camp, he washes his face.
True.
He's accepting, and he sits down and he listens to the tape that his wife recorded for him, which he hasn't been able to listen to before this. Yeah. So he's letting go of his grief and his loss, and he cares again.
See, I didn't see it as that in the end.
Okay, well, just last thing also, like before the pig gets kidnapped, and whenever Amir gets there, he never even talks to him. He just gives him the truffles, and then he doesn't care. But when they part ways at the cafe, he actually like reaches out, grabs his hand, and says, "See you next Thursday," because he cares now, and especially cares about Amir since he sees a bit of himself in Amir, and also sees someone he can help, basically.
Post.
And then just little things like when he's at the bakery, which is his previous restaurant, which one of his, I guess, waitresses or staff at least turned into a bakery.
Daughter.
Yeah, but then when she says goodbye, chef, she doesn't say goodbye, dad,
that
or
might
Robin.
be a thing that they did because he was a chef.
Because
I don't know.
Why would he just abandon his daughter? Like there would still be something he could care for. But if his wife...
Well,
it
depends on how their relationship was when the wife was alive. If he was just in the kitchen all the time, then maybe they didn't have that good of a connection.
But I don't get that feeling from him. And especially not between them.
I don't know. It felt too familiar to be just some co-worker or something.
He obviously has a profound effect on people who work with him.
True.
The one guy in the fight club... just wants to murder him.
I did not get that part about the Fight Club thing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you because it's not like they fight each other. It's like
no. How long can he withstand being beaten?
Yes, and I'm wondering then if it's like
why
assholes in the industry who wants to make a quick buck can let wait staff or kitchen staff beat them up. I don't know if must be something like that, because obviously that little guy, he hates Robin. He wants to murder
someone like him, I suppose.
Yeah, and Edgar, the guy who runs it, even when the time runs out, he doesn't even stop the fight. He lets him beat him up even more.
Yeah.
And then when they go to the restaurant where when they pick up the track of the pig, they go to that restaurant where they eat the deconstructed scallops, in a what is it?
Fine for
smoke and a frozen
blackberry or something.
Foam. Yes, they're kind of modern ridiculous food.
Yes, which he obviously did not do at his restaurant because he questions this man and goes like, "Why are you doing this? Is this really what makes you happy? Didn't you want to open one pub or something?"
Yeah, and that's the greatest scene one of the greatest scenes in the movie, when he just completely ruins that man's entire life in that one conversation, and just not ruins his life, but makes him realize that he's a fraud, basically.
He's a sellout.
Yeah. Because
the only thing that
was an old prep chef that he had had at his restaurant, but only for 2 months because he overcooked the pasta. Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about that scene is that when he starts talking to the chef and like breaking him down, everything else around them is completely silent. You cannot hear the other guests.
Yeah, that's the
And
point.
but it felt too...
Nothing else matters around them.
I don't know, that's not what I felt though. Because I got the feeling that everyone else got quiet and were listening to them.
No, because you still see them going on about their business around them.
Yeah, but it felt odd. I don't know. That's just a creative thing that I didn't like, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah, and he talks about, like, none of this food is real because you don't actually care about the food. You should... Why didn't you open up that pub like you wanted to? Like, nobody wants pubs. Pubs don't sell around here. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, are you really in it for selling, or are you in it for doing what you like?
Yeah, and he obviously goes back into his old, like, chef ways when he talks to him. You can see that his like demeanor changes, and I'm guessing he used to do that to a lot of his staff, and that's why they hate him.
Or love him, like the lady in the
bakery. Of course. You can take it two ways. Either you can take it as advice or take it as criticism.
Yeah. Depends on your fragility, I suppose. Fragility?
Yeah, and this guy just what am I supposed to do now? Wine. Yeah, he just breaks down completely, and it's just and that's the first time Amir really sees that side of Robin.
Yeah, and starts understanding who he really is.
Yeah, and starts... Well, and it's also the first kernel of him actually caring.
Yeah.
And them kind of caring for each other.
Yeah.
So it's that's why I think it's about like caring for the things we have and caring for the things you actually care about. Like cherish the things you actually care about.
Hello? There we go. But I also, because the final scene when he says goodbye to Amir at the cafe and he walks home.
Yeah.
I didn't see that as him starting to care again. I saw that as him kind of accepting his faith and going back home to die to be with the ones he loved.
Oh, I didn't see it like that.
Because of the whole...
Definitely...
Like, him cleaning himself is like a last rite, and then sitting down at the bed and there's a light shining down on his face. Like, the heavens are opening up for him.
I didn't see that.
Kind of felt too... what do you call it? Like... angelic, I suppose.
Yeah, no.
For it to be something else.
Oh, okay. No, I just saw it as him. Yeah, first of all, accepting, and letting go of the grief, but not him dying. Like, this is not a story about dying. If anything, it's a story about living.
But once you've lived, aren't you ready to die then?
Yeah, but...
And he realizes that he has lived. He has had people he cared about, that he nurtured and got them to go where they wanted to go instead of just doing things to do things or to make money. He had people he cared about, and he accomplished all of that. He did pass on his legacy. So now he's done. Does he need to continue? What is he gonna do out there in the woods if he's done?
But
I guess this is up for interpretation.
Literally, yeah, because literally on the surface level of the story, he does say, "See you next Thursday."
Yeah, that's true, but perhaps that's just to not worry Amir.
But that just seems mean, especially
because
after
otherwise,
what they've
why
been
would
through.
he accept him giving me a ride home?
Because that's part of the cleansing. Just be
cleansing to die.
No, not to die. This is not a movie about dying. I think it's the opposite.
Maybe.
I mean, it's about finding that life is worth living. He's not completely cut off anymore. He actually looks forward to meeting Amir every Thursday.
I suppose.
And he's like you say, like at least that's how I interpret it. He starts caring. He actually washes off the mud and the blood.
Yeah, I suppose.
This is how I see it. I see it as a very happy ending. Well,
someone did
a good ending.
Explain the ending like I saw it, so like maybe I'm not the only one who's seeing it that way. No, but I can understand your way too.
And at least the way you were describing it, I don't agree. But I mean, hey, you know what? That's the beauty of art.
Yes,
Art
I
is
was about to say
subjective,
that.
and you can see it either which way, and I think both are valid. I just prefer the way I interpret it because that's the subjectiveness of it.
Yes, I think maybe that's the point of how the ending is planned out. You're supposed to have your own interpretation of it. You're supposed to see your happy ending in it.
Yeah.
If that is accepting you're finally done, or if it's like, great, I do have something to live for.
Yeah. There's a great example of that many years ago. Around the time when Whiplash was still pretty new.
Oh, yes,
And,
Whiplash.
yes, it's been a while since I saw that, but I from time to time go back and watch the ending of that movie because it's one of the best endings in movie history.
Honestly, don't remember the ending.
That's when he meets up with what's the name? J.K. Simmons' character.
Yeah.
He meets him in the city and says, "Hey, I'm doing I'm doing a concert for the jazz festival. So you should come by. You can
Right.
I need a good drummer. We're gonna play the classics." And then they play a bunch of new songs that he doesn't know, and he completely humiliates him in front of a paying audience. So he walks off the stage. His dad comforts him, but then he turns around and he plays Whiplash with that insane drum solo he plays. You see J.K. Simmons start egging him on, and then actually you see him like respect him by helping him put up the cymbals again, and it ends with them actually finishing the Whiplash solo, and you don't see the mouth, but you see the lines in J.K. Simmons' face move like he's smiling, and that's where the movie ends. And I always saw that as a super like nihilistic and sad ending, because it's literally Miles Teller, whatever his name is in the movie, succumbing to the tyranny of J.K. Simmons, and like he thinks he's proving to him that he's good enough when he's really just becoming his slave.
But also, it's J.K. Simmons' character sort of showing him that, see, you're not as bad as you think.
No, yeah, but he never thought he was bad. It was J.K. Simmons who thought he was bad.
That's true.
And he made him give up drums.
I don't remember it being a sad ending though for me.
No, that was the thing. It was, and I wrote about this, and I thought that's, I thought it was like a super dark ending. He was like, no, obviously it's a great ending because now he has the respect of J.K. Simmons. I'm like, you think that guy respects anyone but himself? No, he doesn't.
Well, not really, but he did respect him enough to help him out at the end.
Yeah,
at the very end.
That's not him. He's just making sure the music keeps playing the way it should be played.
I suppose.
He's a conductor. He's literally a puppeteer. He's just pulling the strings, and now his strings are fully attached to Miles Teller. Once again, we couldn't find an equal an agreement to disagree. But then I tried to explain to him, well, that's the good thing about art. It's subjective. Both of these explanations of the ending
are valid.
He's like, no, you're wrong. I'm right. And I was like, oh, God, whatever, dude. And I just left.
It's very subjective, and it's
always
supposed to be exactly what you see it to be. Of course, in movies specifically, directors do have a point they're trying to get.
Yes, of course.
Someone reads in something else that works, they're not gonna go, no, you're wrong. They're gonna go, nice way of seeing it.
Then
cool angle or something.
And then there are, of course, if the director has specifically said like, no, this was the point.
Well, yeah.
Then you can, of course, you can interpret out of the ways, but then you know that there is one specific way to read it.
Yes.
And then might be a little elitist, but I've been known to be elitist before. Not all interpretations are valid. In my opinion.
No,
because there's some that are just stupid. You're just like, come on, that's obviously not what it is. Like all goddamn fan theories about everything. Whenever you add fan to anything, it just ruins it.
When it's not canon, it's not valid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have to say, going back to Pig.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I am very impressed with writer and director Michael Sarnoski.
This is his first movie.
First full-length movie.
He's like
written and directed.
Because he's like an editor before this or something?
I don't think so. He's not credited as an editor somewhere, really.
No, yeah, he has some he's edited some shorts.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
I think yeah, he's made short movies before this. He's written and
he's done a couple of
directed.
shorts and some episodes for Friday Night Legacy, whatever that is.
Yeah, yeah. But this was his first feature-length movie,
Yeah.
and now, okay, this was news. He has been
Yes.
slated to direct The Quiet Place Part 3, which
I'm sorry, what?
I don't see why we need a third one, but okay.
First of all, and second of all, why would they change it from
Krasinski.
yeah.
Well, because I heard that at first he didn't even want to make a second one. He thought that
Oh.
no, because it is a self-contained story about family.
Yeah.
And they wanted to explore the world. He's like, ugh. Which they do in the second one, but I think they did it, like we talked about this, they did a good job with the second one. Where sure, there is more exploring the world, and there's more action, more monsters, but it's still about the characters, you know. That's why he decided to do it, because he was allowed to write it, basically, because he doesn't own. He had the idea for the original, but he does not own like any rights to the material. So now I think they're taking it away from him. Which, sure, Michael Sarnoski, good director, but I don't think.
It looks like it's supposed to be a spin-off.
Oh no, that's even
with
worse.
Jeff Nichols being like main writer.
Okay.
I'm trying to find out what I've heard that name before.
Yeah, he's a
Midnight Special, Mud.
Yes, he's a very, very good director and writer. He's made
he's supposed to be writing it, partially.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see about that in the future, I suppose.
Yeah. Sure.
But Michael Sarnoski is doing a fantastic job at the camera and the lighting and the writing. Obviously, we already talked about the story being great, but it's just full of beautiful shots. Like both in the woods and in the city, you have these strange but beautiful choices.
Yeah.
For example, like in the bakery, I loved the fact that the entire scene is played out from one angle, a wide angle, where you don't see the actors' faces properly. You don't see them, like, when they're talking, normally they'd zoom in on their faces and stuff.
No, it's just one
we don't
wide
get that.
angle
We just
shot.
Get them talking. That's all we need.
It almost feels like the camera is like perched up on one of her shelves full of bread that you see in the foreground.
It feels intimate.
Yeah.
Like we're just looking in on an intimate moment where they're literally just reminiscing and talking about fucking salted baguettes.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious about. I need to know what salted baguettes are.
I think it's just baguette with more salt and probably some like coarse
toast.
Salt when they're baking.
Yeah, I suppose. But then also the contrast between the city and the forest being portrayed in similar angles and close-ups. Like the trees are just replaced by buildings.
Yeah.
It looks very nice, very nice.
Yeah, yes, it's a beautiful movie. But I think we also need to talk about the genius marketing behind this movie, because this is a super small movie. I don't know.
Yes.
The budget is. I haven't looked it up, but it can't be more than a couple of million at most, which is still a lot of money. But for movies, it's very small. And like no one's gonna watch a movie about a truffle forager looking for his pig. Like it was going to be condemned to be one of those movies that are shown at festivals and then just lost to the ether. But because the movie's called Pig, it has Nicolas Cage's face on it, and the trailer almost makes it out to be this like dark, violent story about angry men beating each other up. Because they just use the perfect shots of the pig getting kidnapped, the scene in the fight club, and the movie in general is pretty dark, like darkly lit.
Yes.
It
is a dark story. He's looking for something that's been kidnapped.
Yeah. I mean, but it turns into an uplifting story.
Yes.
Yeah. But in the trailer, it looks like a super dark, broody, like angry movie, and I mean, the trailer got millions and millions of views, and it was featured on like like normie sites like IGN and stuff. Like
Normie
it's like,
sites.
oh my god, Nicolas Cage is in a pig movie. I gotta see this.
I mean,
then it turns out it's just this super like small, like sweet movie about loss and like regret.
I don't remember if I actually saw the trailer, but just looking at the poster, I assumed it would be more of an action or horror thing.
Yeah,
and
I mean, a lot of people compared it after the trailer, compared it to John Wick, which
I was about to say that when you see the start, you kind of get like John Wick vibes.
I mean, it kind of is John Wick. He's
you have
looking for the
loner.
people who killed his dog, and it's it's the big, like, basically food mafia guy.
Yeah.
In his big castle. It's just that there's very, very little violence, and instead there is emotion. People actually talk instead of shooting and punching.
Yes. It's emotional bullets instead of real bullets.
Yes, exactly. So
which of course a lot of people mentioned as well in the reviews. Like it is a lot like John Wick without the action.
Yeah, without all the killing.
So, yeah, I liked it. Because, I mean, I like John Wick, but I don't like John Wick just because of the action. I like John Wick because of the story it portrays as well.
Oh, yeah.
This will just get a deeper, calmer version of that.
Yes.
That isn't just
and
kill.
I think the trailer even ends with just a soundbite of Nicolas Cage saying, "I'm looking for my pig," which is just, dude. I don't know.
It sounds very ridiculous
in
the movie whenever he says, "I'm just looking for my pig. I just want my pig back."
They were really banking on Nicolas Cage and him being who he is. And I don't know though how well it actually did.
Looking at IMDb and looking at the scoring, it has
there's great reviews.
A Metascore of 82.
But I was thinking of how well it did in theaters.
Ah, right.
Let's see. Pig. Well, I don't have a budget, but it made almost $4 million, which is not a lot.
But it's not bad.
For a small movie like this, it's good.
Yeah.
I wish I had the budget. Because I can't imagine it costing much more than that. Let's see if it has it here on IMDb. Nope. It just says the box office take. Anyway. But, you know, this is one of those movies that could have been just lost if it didn't have the star power of Nicolas Cage.
It almost was, even though it's Nicolas Cage, because he's not really a pulling name anymore, even though... Like, in most, like, you know, non-movie enthusiast circles, I suppose.
But then I'm
not going to convince my friends or my boyfriend to go watch this, because they're going to be like, what the hell? It's Nicolas Cage that they barely remember and a pig.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
That's kind
Which is what the first review, user review on IMDb says.
Oh, yeah?
It just starts with why. Question mark.
Okay.
I see people giving this one high ratings and that Cage got a number of rewards for it. I'm not convinced. The hog stealing plot feels like a cheap rip on John Wick, and then nothing happens. But
there's so much that happens.
That's what some people might see. Sure, if you don't understand anything.
But then there's
a lot that happens.
Because then you're just looking at the surface level. You need to look.
Yeah.
Just look a little bit under the surface, and there's so much going on. I mean, I was close to tears twice while watching this. The scene where
I don't know if I was close to tears, but
the scene when they're cooking the food for Amir's dad. Oh my god! When that's like the first time he really sees Amir as an equal, because they've gone through the same things in life. And it's him teaching him how to actually, because that's the thing, he works in the food industry, but when we see him cooking breakfast for Nicolas Cage, and he says like, I don't really cook much, sorry. So he can't even do French toast. So that's also another thing that makes the movie very hopeful, which I don't think is why he wants to die in the end, or is metaphorically dying. he wants to help Amir, so he teaches him to cook. But in that scene also, since they're cooking two birds, they're mirroring each other in cutting and smelling the chanterelles and everything. It's so, it's like, and then the music. I gotta say, if there's anything that I don't like, but I still kind of like it, it's the music. The music is very on the nose. It's very like, here's where you're supposed to feel happy. Here's where you're supposed to feel sad the few times you actually have music in the movie. But in the way that also, it
not
works.
A lot of times you hear the music specifically, but once you do, it's like kind of jarring.
Yeah, because it very, very bluntly accentuates the emotions of the scenes they're in, and that's not always the best way to use music. But damn, it hit me in the feels at least.
I think one issue with the movie and how they did promote it is the fact that people were expecting something else.
Sure, and that's not always good.
Some people go into this expecting John Wick, but, with Nicolas Cage, and are getting definitely not that. They're getting a slow, meaningful, and deep movie instead of fast action.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're getting something...
But they went to the movies expecting
they're getting
action.
Something... I don't want to... They're getting something better. Yeah, I mean...
Sure,
don't get me wrong, I love the John Wick movies, but they're getting something better, something more complex, something more interesting in Pig.
But if you were going to the movies expecting John Wick...
I suppose.
It's not the best way, because then they're going to tell their friends, like, nah, it wasn't what I expected. There was no action, it was very slow. And I mean, if you're already disappointed by the fact that you're missing out on the action, you're not going to sit there and actually listen and look at what you're seeing, and then some of the context will go over your head.
I guess that's
a downfall of some of the promotion, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's the balancing act, because if they sold this as the movie it actually was, no one would go and see it.
True.
Or at least very few people. Snobby, movie pretentious people would go and see it. I would see it. But the general audience wouldn't. And now some of them did, but then they couldn't just, even try to appreciate it, I suppose. No, some did, of course.
Some did.
Yeah, just not Leof Weindraka.
There's a few others who didn't appreciate it. Some people are like honing on the fact that there's a pig in the movie. I'm like, what's the problem with the pig?
Yeah,
could have just been a dog. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. It's a pig because then he could call the movie Pig, and it's very intriguing to have a movie called Pig. Dog. What the fuck? Oh, it's a dog movie? It's a kid's movie then?
Dogs has been in so many movies.
Yes.
Like companions and
then it's literally John Wick.
Yeah. In this case, you have a pig. It's more interesting. Like, wow, he has a pig? Oh yeah, it's a workforce. But no, it's not just for work. In the end, we get to know that he didn't keep the pig because he needed it for work. He kept it as company. It was his pet. It was his companion.
Yeah,
he could have found the truffles himself. He knew something about the trees and whatever.
He says that. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just the pig is something he cares about.
Yeah. It's a family member by now.
This is some guy who just really, really, I don't know. I think... this is the last time I'm gonna excuse myself for sounding elitist. I'm just gonna be a fucking snob because I'm so tired of this shit.
Go for it.
Yeah, here's some guy. He gave it a 3 out of 10. Who like he thinks he sees beyond the pretentiousness in the movie. 3 out of 10. The auteur hogs the information. Wordplay.
Yes.
Nicolas Cage and his pig lives in the Cascade Mountains. Cage looked like he hasn't had a bath, a haircut, or wash of clothes in 10 years. That's kind of the point.
Kind of the point, yeah.
Together they hunt truffles, which they sell on Thursdays to Alex Wolff, who drives a Maserati.
No.
No, he drives a Camaro!
Yeah, it's a Camaro!
Yeah.
Wrong!
Then one evening, people invade Cage's shack, beat him senseless to take his pig. When he wakes, blah, 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 blah. We know this. And he goes looking for it. Yeah. He contacts Wolff, and the two of them go on a journey of discovery about who Cage was and the meaning of loss among the froofy super rich while Cage tries to get his pig back. Yeah, that is part of the story, or part of the meaning. as we talked about. A movie like this should not yield its secrets easily, but the manner in which Michael Sarnoski hides them is by no one saying anything for a long time and then dropping information kerplop. No, it's not. You get it gradually.
Yeah.
There's a big, there is one big dump in the end, but you do get stuff before that. Whatever. Truth should be hidden in a welter of interesting facts, not husbanded like a miser until after a long time someone announces, "Here's what I should have told you," which one character or another says on more than once, or whatever, says more than once. Nor are the characters the only ones like that. The movie behaves that way towards the audience, with an air of suspenseful mystery in which great truths are revealed. Only, of course, the audience should have figured them out long ago. Cage's past, why he is that way, why he's stopping at that nice middle-class house. Well, no, he says, "I used to live here," that's why.
Tells the kid this is my home. Well, was my home.
Yeah, exactly. Who's behind the pignapping? All of these are apparent to anyone who doesn't have to be spoon-fed small doses of information by Nicolas Cage, who lets us know what he is. Who lets us know what he says is very important by speaking very slowly. And then he gets the movie. What's the problem?
Like, he thinks that everyone should have seen that, that dude kidnapped the pig, and Nicolas Cage only cares about the pig because he's sad his wife died.
But then
Which,
I think he thinks it's a problem that the movie is slow. I don't see what's the problem with the movie being slow. Because is this the state that serious cinema has arrived at? Oh my god. I'm pretentious, but Jesus Christ. If one picture is worth 1,000 words, then a 92-minute movie like this is an immense undertaking of information, of character and story, and all the things that have to be communicated. And really, it's all idiot plotting that could be cleared up in about 40 seconds of exposition. That's not the point!
There's more to the movie than just the plot.
First of all, exactly. And there, you know what? He says a picture's worth 1,000 words. Yeah, but what's even more impressive about a picture is that you can tell a story without words, you moron. That's what they're doing here. Fuck? Yeah, they're telling it visually through him being dirty. The contrast, but also the mirroring, like you mentioned, between the forest and the city. Literally, you could almost call this like a classic, not a chivalrous romance, but like an old knight's tale. Because you have the evil wizard who stole the fairy pig is holding up in his empty castle, and he's just angry, wants to take her for no reason other than to have her. And you have the courageous, but then of course they kind of split then the courageous knight between Nicolas Cage and Alex Wolff, but still trying to find her. And then instead of defeating the wizard, they actually they make him like a happy guy again. So it's almost like a kid's fairy tale that way. And he's literally standing on when they first go to his house, when Nicolas Cage goes there with the bike in the rain, he's literally standing on top of his castle looking down on the peons, which is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so much more like deep and rich storytelling here beyond the words. Asshole, who's this fucker? Bob Blipton. God, like I think he just wants to hate it because it got good reviews.
Yes.
And he doesn't want it to be good.
Sure. The basis of it, the very surface, is a very simple story.
It is a very simple story.
Do you need more?
Obviously not.
A simple story is the best way to convey your actual plot behind, or the plots behind
and your ideas. Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ.
The best way to go through loss and grief and accepting faith is by showing it in a very simple way and just having the people change along the way.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, people are too pretentious for their own good.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at any professional reviews, but I have a feeling this one must have done very well.
Yeah, it got an 82, so that's pretty damn good. Just to quickly go back to you mentioned Face Off in the beginning. Face Off actually got an 82 as well. That's very high for an action movie.
Yeah.
You should all check.
if I remember correctly, it has some nice undertones and some nice messages somewhere.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
But I haven't seen it since I was like a preteen, so
Exactly. I hadn't seen it in like 15 years either. So, but you should all check that out. It's coming out for free on every podcast platform on the 22nd of February, I think. Either way, the critic reviews. It got some like 10 out of 10s. The lowest it got no negative reviews. It got a few mixed reviews. But the Irish Times, Tara Brady, gave it 10 out of 10, saying the film built around the actor's affecting turn works equally hard at upending expectations. So that was just a lot of big words. Come on, talk about the movie. AV Club.
enjoying it.
Yeah, AV Club, Mike D'Angelo. Like the animal itself, Pig is considerably smarter and more ardent than it appears at first glance. Exactly,
Yes.
Bob Lipton or whatever your name was.
Bob Lipton.
Yeah, but it's one word, Bob Lipton or something.
Yeah, I suppose.
And unearths treasures that are barely evident on the surface level. We'd have settled for much less, but what a rare treat to be offered a great deal more. And if you really want to read into this visual storytelling, his job is literally digging for treasures. Truffles.
Yes.
These rare,
Truffles are
nuggets
what do you
of
call it? Like
food gold.
forest gold or something.
Yeah.
As it proceeds, it expands its vision and compassion, even as it de-escalates the tension.
Yeah.
It's not about the thing it's about, except that it ultimately is totally about the thing it's about.
Yes, it's complex.
Yes.
You can't just say, oh, he talked slowly, and the plot could have been over in 40 minutes. Yes, it could have.
But the thing is, we don't need Cage to talk about it, because him being there just forces everything out into the open.
Yeah, he
doesn't have to say anything.
No, we see it in Chef, whatever his name was, Finway. We see it in the guy who beats him up. We see it specifically in Amir and his dad, Darius. Like, there's so much there.
Yeah.
Phil DeSemblian. I like Phil DeSemblian. I wrote for Time Out. 8 out of 10. Like those truffles that kick it into gear, this film is a rare treat. That wasn't interesting.
Well, but truffles are good, so...
Yes, they are. I gotta say, though, I think people overuse truffles.
Yes.
Like, a little bit of truffle goes a long way. Because sometimes
also
everything
truffles
just tastes like truffles.
Truffles have been treated very longly for something that you don't really know how to use. I love that they're using them in burgers nowadays.
Yeah. It definitely has an umami flavor as it works.
Yes.
I'm not talking about food here. The worst it got was from the New Yorker. Okay. It was a 5 out of 10. Jesus Christ. Maybe him and Bob Lipton should have dinner or something.
Richard Brody.
Yeah, Richard Brody. Never heard of him before.
No, I don't recognize that name.
The film is redeemed only by the dour, wary, mournful, stubborn, and wise performance of Nicolas Cage, which is not so much a star turn as the project's sole raison d'etre. I disagree.
Yeah,
like you said, that character, while very important to the story, is not nearly all of the story.
No, he's
half.
Barely. He's like a tool to move the story forward, because if he's present, everyone else will tell you what's happening.
Exactly. He is the
I was about to say Deus Ex Machina, but
no. There's a word for it. Whatever.
One.
I'll just go with Firestarter. As Prodigy
all right.
said.
Yes.
So that you see, he doesn't really. I don't think he really gets it.
No, and I just looked at the one above it. The Hollywood Reporter gave it 6 out of 10. Sherry Linden. I don't recognize that name either.
No.
Pig isn't the gripping mystery Sarnoski might have intended, but as it crawled through the underbelly of a hipster city's glamorous foodie culture, it's a gutsy narrative. Gutsy narrative recipe?
Yeah.
Receipt? What did you try to say?
Recipe.
I hate that word. Even if the final dish is less than the sum of its ingredients. Through it all, Cage plays the enigmatic central character at the perfect simmering temperature and without a shred of ham.
Enough with the food analogies.
Yeah, stop.
No, but I think I do disagree. I mean,
yes,
there is so much more. Yeah, I don't agree. There's so much more there than just Nicolas Cage's character and story.
Yes,
and that's why I really think people should watch it a second time. So because then you know everything you need to know about his character, and you can focus on the stuff around him. It was really revelatory to see it a second time.
Then maybe I should. Maybe that's the sum of this one. Watch it, but watch it again.
Yeah, and I used to be against rewatching movies, like or people saying like, "Oh, you really need to watch it 2 times to get it," and I was like, "Come on, bro." Because a lot of people, well, I was against it because it was used specifically for The Last Jedi, and I've seen that movie 3 times, and it's still a bad movie. I'm sorry. I mean, no matter what people say, but there is something to watching movies more than once. There is.
Yes, but you shouldn't have to watch it to understand the full meaning of it. Well, the basic meaning of it. You should have to
exactly.
That's the second watching should be to get more depth.
Exactly.
You should still understand it from the first viewing.
Exactly. You shouldn't have to watch it twice to get it.
No. Because then the hell.
Then the director.
Then make a longer movie.
Yes.
Which apparently this one was over 2 hours long at first cutting, and then they were like, nah, make it shorter.
I wouldn't mind this be a little longer, but I also think it's just to use a rare treat like the truffles in the movie. To see a movie that's just 90 minutes. I mean, this is like 87 without the credits. It's insane.
I loved it.
It's very nice to don't have to spend like an 1/8 of your day, your waking hours, watching a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you could watch this twice in the same time you watch Endgame.
Yeah.
And you would get so much more out of it.
Also, I need to mention, apparently, they only had about, 20 days to make the movie. The entire movie. Well, film it.
Yeah.
So all actors had to get everything right from the first time, as there was no budget for reshoots or delays.
Yeah, I mean,
And the pig was only there for like 3 days of it.
Yeah. Well, the pig isn't in the movie that much.
No, it's just the opening scenes and just random, like, tidbits.
Yeah. Which should also be like...
It's even more, like... This is more of a work of art then, because they managed to do something so well made in only 20 days of filming.
And that should
that
should also be a sign to people that this movie is not about the pig.
No,
the pig is barely in it. The pig is just a metaphor.
Yeah,
for a love, for caring about something.
It's just a tool to have the story progress.
Yeah, which we
have a reason.
We didn't mention that before, so now we're just repeating. Like you said, it could just easily been a dog, but they chose a pig because pig is an interesting title for a movie. Yeah. The movie could have been called Caring, because that's what it's about. That's what pig means in the title. Care. Yeah. Caring about things. But pig is more exciting. Anyway, do we have anything else to say about it?
No. Without repeating
ourselves?
No. We're just gonna start hating more and on people who are too pretentious or too dumb.
Yeah.
This is a perfect middle ground, because if I understand it, I'm not pretentious, and I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I'm not the dumbest person in the world when it comes to movies.
No. You're getting better.
I'm getting better.
This, yeah.
Yes. But if I can understand the deeper meaning behind this movie, anyone can probably do it.
Yes.
You don't have to overanalyze it to understand it. It is right there. They're telling you it. They're just telling it in a beautiful way.
That's why I think, this will not fit everyone.
No.
But I think if you have some friends who are like, yeah, I'm into movies, you could try them. You could try it.
Yes.
Definitely. Watch them. Watch it with them,
This is up there with a ghost story that we mentioned. We did an episode on. I think it's on Patreon.
Yes, patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. $2 a month.
That's also a movie where I just said, me not being a pretentious person, me not understanding artsy movies, still saying that you should watch it.
Oh yeah.
Same with this one.
Yeah.
Just watch it.
Check it out.
Even if you don't completely understand it, at least you can say you've watched it.
Yeah.
Support the arts, if nothing else.
Yes.
Pay for it.
That's my big movement for 2022. Support the arts. Yes. I mean, if you can't find it, buy it on Blu-ray. If you can't, at least don't stream it. Rent it on YouTube. Or buy it digitally. Yeah. Because that way, more money goes to the filmmakers.
Yes,
and that's important. That's why we watch movies, right? To appreciate the filmmakers. And the best way to do that is to give them money, which sounds weird, but I mean that's what it literally is. Because
find good ways to give them money.
Yeah, it's the most expensive form of art there is. So
yes,
it's really important to actually show your appreciation, both verbally but economically as well.
Even if there are paintings that go for millions of dollars, the actual material used
it didn't cost more than maybe $100.
Yeah, most
for
people
canvas
can buy
and
that
paint. Yeah, exactly.
Sure, it takes
here the canvas costs
years
millions.
of practice to to be able to perform that kind of
the
art.
Emotional cost, but
sure, but physical cost or like material actual cost, nothing.
No,
compared to a movie.
Yeah. Anyway,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening, or if you're watching this on YouTube. Remember, every Saturday we release this free episode on, like I said, every available podcast platform: Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube. But if you want an extra episode each and every week, we release them on Mondays on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. So for just $3 a month, there are several tiers, but the $3 tier is the one that gets you the most stuff. You get, like I said, an extra episode. You get an early access to my Nicolas Cage podcast, The Madness and the Method. You get monthly commentary tracks. We just released our People Under the Stairs commentary track for January.
Yeah. Just released when we're recording this, because we are pre-recording this.
Yeah, sure, yes. But I mean, it was just released in the end of January.
Yeah.
And you get exclusive videos. I finally figured out a way to upload my re-edits of movies. So there is actually, for February, I'm releasing my complete Evil Dead cut, which is all 3 movies cut together as one. Don't tell Sam Raimi that I stole his movies, but whatever. So check that out. Once again, there are links down below in the description of wherever you're listening to this. Or just go to patreon.com/don'tmakeascene and subscribe for $3 a month to get all that stuff.
And also find the links via our socials on Twitter, Instagram. We have everything in our link trees.
Yeah, the link tree is down below as well.
Yes.
So check us out on all social platforms as well, social media platforms. But if anything, we're just happy that you're listening to the podcast.
Yes.
And we hope to see you next week when we talk about...
I don't remember which one is next. Oh wait, it's Uncharted after this one.
It's Uncharted after this, yeah.
Ooh, so excited.
We're doing... Because that's actually a blockbuster we are both excited for.
Very, and we'll tell you more about that in the episode next week.
Yeah. So, thanks. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.